Welcome to Finance Made Easy. This is our first lesson, and today I want to talk about the essence of finance. Many people have a sense of awe when it comes to finance, thinking that it's a game for the wealthy with high entry barriers, and that you need a lot of extra cash to get involved. The truth is, I'm here to tell you that as long as you live in the flow of time, you will inevitably come into contact with finance. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today in our first lesson, which is called the first theorem of finance, the time value of money, the secret behind the $10,000 giveaway. Time is money. Concept of time value of money may sound a bit abstract, so let me share a story to help you understand it. Back in the 1990s, American car dealerships were heavily promoting a $10,000 car. However, the U.S. car market was already very saturated, and sales were sluggish. Some dealerships went all out and offered massive discounts, up to 15%, but it still didn't do much to improve sales. At this point, a savvy dealer came up with an innovative idea: the free car promotion. Here's how it worked. Buy a car for $10,000 and receive a $10,000 U.S. Treasury bond with a 30-year maturity. Essentially, a $10,000 car came with a $10,000 bond. It sounded like you were getting a car for free. The deal was so attractive that even people who had no intention of buying a car rushed to the dealership, fearing they might miss out on this windfall. As a result, sales soared. But if you're sharp, you probably noticed that the freebie wasn't $10,000 in cash. It was a face value $10,000, 30-year U.S. Treasury bond. In other words, the $10,000 you got wasn't paid to you until 30 years later. With the average bond interest rate in the 90s around 8%, by the time 30 years passed, that $10,000 bond would be worth only about $994 today. In fact, the dealer was only giving you a gift worth $994, which means the discount was only about 9.94%, far less than the 15% off they originally offered. That $10,000 you would receive in 30 years is only worth $994 today. What does this mean? It means the value of time has reduced the $10,000 by over $9,000. Here, time is being quantified into money. This is the most fundamental and important concept in finance, called the time value of money. This concept may seem complex and mysterious, but when you really think about it, isn't it just the saying we often hear, time is money? So in finance, the idea that time is money is an objective fact. Now that you understand that the time value of money can be measured, calculated, and used in financial decisions, let's explore what impact this concept can have on our everyday lives. Let's assume for a moment that you could travel back in time to December 2007. You've just graduated at 22, and your family gives you $100,000. Now, you have to make a financial decision with this money. You could spend it all and live a good life, but let's also consider other options. You could deposit the money in a bank. If you had invested it in a long-term, fixed deposit account with an average interest rate of 5.85%, what would that $100,000 be worth today? Around $180,000. Or you could invest the money in stocks. If you bought shares of Petrokina, how much would that $100,000 be worth today? Only about $40,000. But if you had been smart and bought Tencent shares, how much would your $100,000 have grown? Today, it would be worth around $3.6 million. Alternatively, you could have bought a small apartment. Back then, a decent 30 square meters apartment cost just over $10,000 per square meter. With your $100,000, you could have made a down payment and borrowed another $200,000 from the bank for a mortgage. Today, that property would be worth around $3.3 million. As you can see, in just 10 years, the same $100,000 depending on how you used financial tools, could have turned into vastly different values. But let me tell you something important. The value of time does not just show up in numbers. It also has a profound impact on your life. Let's rewind to 2007 again. As a college graduate, you're faced with other life decisions. When it comes to finding a job, did you push yourself into a large corporation like Nokia? Or did you join a newly established, high-potential startup that lured you with salary and stock options? If you worked at Nokia, in less than 10 years, you might have reached middle management. But as Nokia's fortunes declined, you'd be looking for a new job. But if you chose the startup, you'd likely be a key player in the company, with the small goal of reaching $100 million now achieved because the startup went public. So you see, the decision you made 10 years ago has deeply changed your circumstances, your life, and even your future. What we're witnessing are the different impacts of various decisions. But when you think deeper, you will realize that these changes in wealth are actually financial tools transforming the same amount of time into completely different values. Thus, the saying "time is money" is not just a metaphor, it is an objective truth. Ancient people had a vague sense of time's value, which is the root of the earliest concepts of interest. In modern finance, we've expanded this idea. You can treat time as a raw material, and financial tools do the job of revealing and processing the risks in this time dimension, turning it into different products. In other words, in financial terms, finance is about pricing time, and we, the consumers of financial products, are essentially purchasing different future values. Here's a small example. In 1986, imagine two people. One buys $10,000 worth of government bonds, and the other buys $10,000 worth of Microsoft stock. Fast forward to 2017. How have their lives turned out? The bondholder's $10,000 has grown to $80,000, while the Microsoft investor's $10,000 has turned into $10.86 million. You see, the same story plays out in different countries and regions. Identical initial wealth, the same amount of time, but different financial products and tools completely rewrite the future wealth picture. Financial tools are like time machines. They don't move our bodies, but they move our money and change our circumstances. As the famous financial historian William N. Goetzman once said, "Financial technology is like the time machines we build. It extends our ability to imagine and calculate the future, and shapes a quantifiable, tradable dimension of time, making us increasingly creatures of time." Today, we've discussed one of the core abilities of finance: how to transform time into products with entirely different values. People often say that financial decisions are decisions about the future. Think about it. What financial decisions have you made in the past decade? And looking back, how have those financial decisions changed the value of your time? This is Finance Made Easy, helping you gain a higher perspective and re-understand wealth.